which we were talking about right up until the countdown for this Honest Trailer Commentary. So let's switch gears and talk about Venom 2. Look, everybody has a different tolerance for stupidity. Mine is high, it turns out, because this movie was much dumber than Venom 1. And I still don't think it really crossed the line, but I know a lot of people had the reaction like, this one's too dumb. I'm not going with you where this one's going. I still had fun. What did you guys think of Venom 2?
Oh yeah, I thought it was super fun. Like the dumbness of the first one was what I liked about it, and I thought that was what works. I don't want like a serious Venom movie. I have no desire to see that. So yeah, like in this one, they're just like, oh, well, people really liked the lobster fish tank. Well, let's just do more dumb stuff. And I'm like, yes, let's do more dumb stuff.
In the 90s, it felt like there was this moment where maybe comic book movies would develop in a very different direction. And it would just be like this crazy, anarchic, chaotic cartoon world that makes up its own rules. And that's the world in which comic book movies would take place. Here, you got stuff like Tank Girl or whatever. Spawn, yes. And it feels like kind of with the X-Men series, then MCU, we kind of smoothed that out. Nolan, it became like, no, they're going to be these outrageous stories, but in a gritty, realistic, in our world. And I love that Venom seems to be like from an alternate reality where it went totally the other way. And like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man became the North Star for all of these movies. And so it's crazy and it's so weird and kind of marching to its own drum and doesn't really feel the need to be like the formula and play like those other movies. And the first one, I kind of like the first Venom. This one, I feel like it steers way into that skid and I really enjoyed it. Like it just feels like it's its own thing and it doesn't feel tied to the other franchises. And I love that energy. I found it really
refreshing. I still think that, I mean, and this isn't an original critique, but like how much better would this be if this were rated R and there were just torrents of blood, just like Kill Bill style, just spraying out of every time Venom or Carnage bit someone's head off. I think that's really missing. That's kind of holding these back.
I mean, I felt like that way more in the first one. In this one, it's sort of playing more into the rom-com zany side, and so I didn't feel like it was missing the gore as much. As like the more action horror version.
I don't mean like horror. Movie. I don't mean like horrific gore. I mean funny gore. You know, the hilarious, haha, oh, my arm.
Yeah, I mean, I can see some of that Shane Black vibe.
I think that would really elevate the material, as they say. I also, God, I love that this was co-written by Tom Hardy and that he and Andy Serkis just got together, got real deep in the story and the script and dug into these characters, and this is what they came up with. It's just
I mean, so I feel like this gets it. This gets what Venom movies should be.
I attribute most of the goofiness to Tom Hardy. Like he's the one who seems to get it because he's the one who came up with like a lot of the really goofy stuff we saw in the first
which is funny because look, I don't know too much about him, but he seems like serious actor dude. Like he seems like a very committed, grounded, like takes the process seriously. But then you see his old MySpace page and you're like, huh, maybe this guy's more fun than we realized.
I interviewed him for something, and maybe it was the first Venom. Dude loves goofs and gaffs. For sure.
And maybe it's the Nolan Association, right? I think of him as like a more internal, solid, grounded actor. But
it could also be just getting inside the character. You know, if it's a dark character, then he's going to take it to a very dark and severe place. But if you're playing Eddie Brock in Venom, that's he's going to bring that energy to the project. And I think it might be more of a case by case.
Yeah. I wonder if he does his own, pops his own wheelies on that motorcycle. Man, that guy loves to pop a wheelie.
He does. Yeah, enjoys a wheelie.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's pop a wheelie ourselves and ride off into the sunset of Venom 2 Electric Boogaloo.
From the company who can't make their own Spider-Man movie or streaming service.
So,
or
pause. It's already been pointed out, and tisk, shame on us. Sony made Spider-Verse, so they can clearly make their own Spider-Man movie. Should have caveated that with live action.
Okay, you guys get it. It's a joke. It's not. This isn't the Wikipedia page.
We strive for honesty,
time.
accuracy, integrity. Someone tell me what that is in Latin, and that'll be our crest. Because we want our jokes to.
We don't want them to be.
We want more than a kernel of truth.
Premises, of course. Yeah. But then, there's a lie.
We're not perfect. Shockingly, we're not perfect. Anyways, keep going.
Service or enough PS5s comes the one thing Sony can still deliver: a top-notch Galian rom-com.
You are a bottom.
Venom, let there be carnage.
As a pause, if you haven't seen the film, that's a timely cut because I believe he calls him a bottom feeder.
Feeder.
The magic of editing. All right, keep going.
Film about a squirrely guy who talks to himself. You call Gollum to direct it. Andy Serkis helms 2021 sequel to 2018 surprise hit of 1996, packed with bad CGI goo, bad wigs.
You said it.
And British actors doing really bad.
So yeah, the wig work on Michelle Williams. Danielle, care to comment?
It's better this time around. The Venom 1 wig was tragic. It is better this time around, but it's still, there are so many. You go on Instagram and you watch like the wig work of like women who are doing it for free for themselves, like on their own. And it's amazing how much better it is than Hollywood wig work. It's you know,
I don't understand, like, is it just because that character would never have like short hair? Like, why can't Michelle Williams has lovely hair? Why you gotta do that?
Well, I think in the first one she had short hair. And the thing is I don't think that character, it's not like a Gwen Stacy where she's got like a very specific kind of hair.
Yeah, an iconic
like
do. No.
Yeah, it's just hair. Like you can do whatever.
And I'm kind of forgetting the nitty gritty details of Venom 1, but didn't she was like the lawyer responsible for like covering the tracks of the space villain, right? Like, was it Riz Ahmed?
It was Riz Ahmed.
Yes,
she worked for him. She was a lawyer, like covering up for his human experimentation stuff. So she turned out fine, right? Didn't she work for him?
I don't,
because like Eddie searched her files.
Maybe.
And that was why they broke up.
You might be right. I'm not saying this is not true. I'm just saying I don't really remember.
Venom 2 is a blissfully consequence-free universe that people live in, and I'm glad to see she landed on her feet. Didn't get in any trouble. I'm sure she didn't know what was really going on. Okay, anyways, keep playing.
And British actors doing really bad American accents.
Okay, this is about me wanting to live without you, whining in my ear all the time about eating bad guys.
I just incapacitated your boyfriend.
And only you at the Life Foundation when that rocket exploded.
Wait, is this what it sounds like to them when I go, oh, I'm Mary Poppins?
That guy will always be, is it Turkish? Is that his name from Snatch?
No, Turkish is, he's in Snatch, but Turkish is Jason Statham.
Right, yeah. But the guy that's like dogs, like the guy that's that scene with Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
so
I like,
see him go,
I like
full,
Diggs. Yeah. Stephen Graham is the actor's name. He was really
full
good in
Boston
The Irishman. That's Scorsese movie last year. He's
It's
the guy
that,
who wears shorts to the meeting.
Obviously, as Americans, we know little to nothing about the world. So who are we to talk? But it's funny that they just think like sounding like you're from New York or Boston or whatever, but you live in San Francisco. It's like, that's what cops sound like, right? They sound like Brooklyn cops.
Yeah, we've kind of got like one of every American stereotype in San Francisco, because also you've got Carnage, who's like a Southern rockabilly type.
Guy. Yeah. Yeah, all of them should be talking like the Californians, if anything.
Right.
That doesn't.
I got an answer for you thanks to Fandom.com and their collection of wikis. Anne herself did not work for the Life Foundation, but her company did. So that was how Eddie was able to use her computer to access files about Carlton Drake, played by Riz Ahmed. But it was not her personal.
Oh, phew. Okay, I was worried.
Rest easy.
All right, keep playing.
Wait, is this what it sounds like to them when I go, oh, I'm Mary Poppins. Which way to the Queen? Catch up with Eddie Brock and his parasite, Venom, two roommates who spend every minute coming in and out of each other. Eddie's journalism career has stalled because he's an idiot.
It's a house. Never mind.
Just like about his journalism career. First of all, I thought he was like a blogger in the first one. Like it was like the Brock Report or whatever.
He had a very successful YouTube expose investigative series. I think
it's just funny that throughout this movie they kept saying like other reporters and news stories would be like, Eddie Brock is back on top of the reporting game.
Yeah,
like
it's like not how reporting even works.
No. They just kept talking about him as a reporter as part of their stories. Which
Yeah,
is
it's like being a bouncer in the Roadhouse universe where they're all like, I hear you're the best reporter.
Like nobody outside the bouncing community knows other bouncers and where they are in the pecking order. But
yeah. Well, look, I am constantly just talking about how good someone's new reporting is and like how they're back on their reporting game. That's all me and my friends talk about when we're at the hipster coffee shop.
Yeah, anytime there's a gathering in our industry, it's like, I hear you're the best joke writer about Venom movies.
Eric Goldman back on top with that new junket about Doom.
The vlogging game.
Anyways, just a fun little aside. All right, keep playing.
Yeah.
And Venom just can't help killing people.
Another one bites the dust.
They had families. Enjoy their wacky dynamic, where Venom reacts in real time to Eddie's crappy life.
You suck! You suck!
Excuse me?
And ignore how awkward it must be for the people who can't hear his voice.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nicely done, Kevin. We should do a whole Venom without Venom.
Yeah, Venom without Venom.
As this film leans hard into the simrock shippers' fantasies to make a gayer superhero movie than the one with actual gay superheroes in it.
Hello, gorgeous.
Sorry, no, you're not my type.
You just said that you love me.
I am out of the Eddie closet.
Watch as Venom is
So
pushed
pause.
to the brink by the
They knew what they were doing.
They know exactly what they're doing, and they did it for me. They did it specifically for me, and thank you.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
it's
again,
extremely intentional.
yeah, like even if it's like MacGruber style, this should have been rated R, so we could have finally seen a love scene between Venom and Eddie. And the
I mean,
mechanics
every
of that.
scene between Venom and Eddie is already a love scene. There's
I
no
mean, the
way they
physical
could
act
be
of
more
love,
intimate. Yeah.
I think that the possibilities are truly endless.
We saw this a little bit. Remember, I think Dan and I talked about this on Charting even, where they were promoting the first Venom movie in China with sort of like, kind of cutesy, romantic, sort of like it's a love story about Eddie and Venom. Like it feels like in a weird, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, it feels like a natural evolution of that relationship in some ways, as odd as it may be to describe or watch visually. But yeah, it's obviously very on purpose and well handled, I thought.
I think, yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's over the top or like hitting you over the head with it. It's just, this is an aspect of Eddie and Venom's personality.
It really is a rom-com, except like instead of the big New Year's Eve party, it's like him fighting another goo man.
Yeah, it's really more like there is this story about Carnage and like that rivalry, but it's more about Eddie and Venom learning boundaries and how to live together than it is about the fighting. Like it's I would say an hour out of the 90 minutes is the Eddie Venom relationship, as opposed to maybe 30 about Cletus Cassidy and his girlfriend.
Yep. All right, keep playing. We'll get to
Venom
him.
is pushed to the brink by the only guy named Cletus to get an interracial marriage. He began life as a Twilight reject, lip-syncing to Woody Harrelson.
They can't take you from me. You're my one
How'd they do that?
bright light.
Then became a monster infected by the Guy Fieri virus.
Which, hands?
He's an
I had a lot
unnaturally
of
born
notes for
killer.
that.
Huh?
Oh yeah, you have to pause. I was just very particular about that because I like my triple D, so I want to make sure we got the twang exactly right, and that the sign was over the proper shot of the red convertible. Where my guy head's at? Come on, I need to
Immediately. I mean, the first time you see him with that car, you're like, is he? They must have, like, they had a photo of Guy Fieri at the makeup station. Like, give me one of those.
But also his timeline doesn't make sense. I mean, unless he's like a swing revivalist guy,
right?
Like he's like into rockabilly, like in a retro ironic way.
I
Because
feel like
he goes
was
to
a
prison.
Reverend Horton Heat 90s guy. He was
He's
like
a
that Neo.
He's a teenager in prison in 96 is when that flashback is, and he gets out.
Sure.
I don't know.
I have a question about ages when it comes to him and
years
Shriek.
later, and he becomes Woody Harrelson.
Yeah,
it's tough living behind
bars.
bars. I guess.
It doesn't perfectly line up. No,
but yeah, like why would you? Maybe he was really into the last thing he did before he went into that institution was he saw like Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs, and he just really got into like.
I just like he saw like a Reverend Horton Heat Social D show and was
True
like,
romance.
Yes.
It reminds me very much of that scene in I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, where the dude comes out and he's in all of his pimp gear.
Yes.
And he's got like the goldfish in the shoe. And it's like, because that's what he was wearing when he like went in.
Yeah. It's like, I only want shirts with flames going up, at least half of them. If there's not cartoon flames coming from the sleeves and bottom, I don't want it. Not it.
Yeah. Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for Cletus. Okay. Keep going.
On a rampage to elope with Shriek, who's Marvel's answer to DC's Black Canary, except she, see, the difference is that, okay, I guess she's just DC's Black Canary, and nothing can stop these two lovebirds from being together, except fire, or sound, or the fact that her superpower is making loud noises. See, this is why thruples are so hard to balance. That's why Michelle Williams got sidelined in this one.
I just needed a little space after the whole alien biting a guy's head off thing.
Dive into an ever-expanding universe.
Love that line. Love the delivery. That's a pro right there.
That's I mean, you're never gonna find somebody to come in and do a "Hey, that happened" joke better than Oscar winner,
four-time nominee,
four-time Oscar nominee Michelle Williams.
Yeah, and then just regards to the earlier part, like it really limits the threat and the scope of Venom in the MCU or beyond when you can just make a loud noise and he's like, I can't handle this. He gets defeated by church bells in like 3 movies that he's
a thing to work on for Venom 3 for sure. It's like, okay, he's got to have something he can do about this.
Earmuffs.
Yeah,
that'd be cute.
Oh.
Okay, keep playing.
Into an ever-expanding universe of the IP still controlled by Sony Pictures until Morbius eats dirt at the box office and they start from scratch again, featuring some of Marvel's most iconic buildings, newspaper names, and metaphors. Until he just give up at the end and blip Venom into the MCU or whatever, in a move that thrilled mainstream comic book nerds, while the real eagle-eyed dorks are trying to figure out why Venom crosses over with Beverly Hills Cop 2? Wait, are we finally getting a cinematic Eddieverse?
Why? Why is he dressed the entire movie like Axel Foley?
I honestly feel like it's just a reference. Like that's a comedy action sequel they liked, and so it was just like tip of my cap.
But it's like the whole movie he's wearing either the Mumford Phys Ed thing or and plus the Lions jacket.
Oh, he definitely. I did not notice until somebody else pointed it out. I did not notice this connection, but he's definitely in it the whole movie.
Yeah, and then he actually briefly changes into it. The reason I noticed it was he's like briefly in a like a Golden State Warriors shirt and a Detroit Lions shirt. I'm like, that's a pretty chaotic fanhood. Like, I love the Detroit Lions and the Golden State Warriors.
I mean, if he grew up in Michigan and then moved to San Francisco, that would make sense.
Yeah, and I was thinking, that must like explain the accent or something like that. Then I looked up Eddie Brock Detroit or whatever, and then it turned out that like, is that Beverly Hills Cop? Yes, it's exactly the outfit Axel Foley wore in Beverly Hills
not
Cop.
even in the first one, in Beverly Hills Cop 2.
He wears the Mumford thing in both.
Right.
So it's it's like, but it's beyond homage. That's just his costume. That's what he wears. And I don't think he's from Michigan in the movie, unless
they definitely have not set that up specifically in the movie that he's from Detroit, right?
Yeah.
That's like, you know how for ladies, they make those Doctor Who dresses so that you can just go around looking like Doctor Who all day.
So it's Eddie purposefully has modeled his style on Axel Foley. Yeah.
I just want to see him put a banana in someone's tailpipe. In Cletus's tailpipe, and then hide her on the corner and watch him. It'd be great. Okay.
Well, once they cast Judge Reinhold in the MCU, then this is going to clash.
Only a
like,
matter of time.
Who plays Rosewood?
Okay, keep going.
Why Venom crosses over with Beverly Hills Cop 2? Wait, are we finally getting a cinematic Eddieverse? Oh man, the possibilities are endless. So enjoy the first comic book film in a long while that understood the assignment, that doesn't try to imitate some other genre, or stuff itself with Oscar-worthy pretensions. Just 90 minutes of dumb fun about a reporter in love with his tapeworm. Still, would have been even better if they had the courage to end it just one scene earlier.
This guy.
See, That's cinema.
They had one extra scene that didn't need.
Rock
didn't need it.
bottom. Bennies with bennies. I support my large adult son. Michelle Williams after Venom 1.
Oh, God, I'm never doing that again. God, well, maybe never. I don't know. Honestly, it's really fun.
Cletus the Snap Jaw Yokel. Holotack Girl. And another British tomboy.
That guy.
Man, Venom's got a type, doesn't he?
Yeah, pause. Look up
Let
Tom
him-
Hardy's old MySpace photos if you want a cheap thrill.
If you dare.
Yeah.
If you dare. Yeah, it seemed like he was having a good time in the early 2000s, as we all were. All right,
Great
let's
time to
finish.
be alive.
Keep playing.
Let him Carnage. How does Venom keep sprouting tentacles out of Betty's back without ripping holes in his clothes? Wait, is Venom just pretending to be Tom Hardy's clothes and he's actually naked the entire time? Oh man, whew, this just got even hotter.
I saw someone put in a comment that like he can go between the fibers of the clothes. So
Yes,
there's your canon explanation.
I actually had like an email response halfway written where it's like, I actually believe that Venom can move on a microscopic level around it. Because then I was like, what am I doing with my life? I'm going to let this resolve itself and not intervene.
This is our
But yes,
job.
I believe that
That's our
person
life.
I think that person is actually correct. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like there's microscopic, even in like a leather Detroit Lions bomber jacket, there's still microscopic.
Yeah, Venom he's oozing around
Yeah.
the fibers, not
Yeah.
going through them.
He
Correct.
can ooze. He can always ooze.
He's an oozer. He's an
He's
oozer
an
from way back.
He's
yeah.
an oozer, baby. Okay, let's do some deleted jokes and scenes if we got any.
While the real eagle-eyed dorks are trying to figure out why Venom crosses over with Downton Abbey, Game of Thrones,
A red wedding.
starring
Eddie.
so many snacks, so little time. It's about ethics in serial killer journalism. Four-time Oscar-nominated actress Michelle Williams. The Goop Troop. When Hardy Met Scary.
Couldn't figure out perfect one there.
Yeah.
I tried a lot of when Blanky met Blanky because it is like a rom-com, but I couldn't. That was as close as I got. It was okay.
It was also really, it was too tough to follow to even like write about it, like what Cletus's beef with Eddie was, and because it was like he uncovered where the bodies were hiding, but he was trying to.
He had
What
brought
happened?
him there to give him a message for Shriek specifically.
Yeah.
And while they were walking by his cell, Venom figured out based on his doodles where the bodies were buried.
But then
Into
his doodles in
execution.
plain sight. He just drawn on the walls where he hit the
You could
bodies.
just not doodle on the wall where you left the evidence against you.
But then but when he confronted him, he was mad that he didn't report on how he was abused growing up. Like that was his problem. He was like, you didn't tell them about why my grandma was mean to me, and that's why I killed her. Like that was it was like a media bias thing. That's what set him off.
Yeah, it doesn't really. I feel like they kind of wrote themselves into a corner with Venom 1, where they wanted to set up Cletus Cassidy, but they didn't have a good idea of how they were going to use him. So they had to like make this fit that thing they'd already done, and this was the best they came up with. And the good news is it does not matter at all.
No,
it's a total afterthought in this movie, which is really much more about like the Odd Couple, but with Eddie Brock and Venom.
Just going through my notes, looking at other things that we didn't manage to mention. He talks to chickens a lot, more than you'd expect. This movie.
Well, his plan is that Venom should feed on chicken brains instead of human brains.
Yeah.
But then Venom bonds with chickens.
Yeah, that's about it. Cletus's age is completely indeterminate.
I feel like they, as written, the character is like my age, like would be in his 40s, and Woody's a little older. But
the
that's
symbiote,
that's all right.
Rules of like how they reproduce. It's like you can just bite someone with it, and then that creates a new one, and you get it.
Unclear.
Unclear.
I think that's the only time we've ever seen that happen.
Yeah.
But I guess nobody's ever like bitten Eddie and sucked his blood otherwise.
Until Morbius, yeah.
Right. Well,
that's
gonna.
Let's go on to the
scene.
There's a lot of questions coming up. Maybe we'll address this stuff further. Suze Vera just asked, why are the symbiote reproduction rules so weird? I've never heard an in-universe reason for it. Yeah, I don't think we have had one. The comics one is they're from outer space. Like they're just parasites from outer space. Adam Halbert asks, should Venom 3 just be about Venom and Eddie raising a Carnage baby? Seems logical to add parenting to the relationship. Yes.
I think that's the logical progression.
I think so. It definitely needs to be a family one next time. Terradol asks, love the show, but you guys should talk about Arcane. That's not this week. We're talking about Venom.
We can do that. I hear it's. I haven't watched it, but that League of Legends animated Netflix series. They say it's great. Cool. I've heard good things.
Cool. Vengefully M says Venom 2 is what Pacific Rim 2 should have been. Yeah, I mean Pacific Rim 2 was certainly dumb enough, but not fun enough. Nothing really stood out about that movie. I remember we combined that honest trailer with Tomb Raider because each of them were like half interesting. Yeah,
I agree though. I like if you're gonna do anything like Pacific Rim, they kind of went with more world building and make it more complicated and elaborate. And if they had instead steered into the like dopey B movie fun version, it probably would have been better. Yeah. I agree with that.
Adam Halbert again says, this is why I didn't like Venom joining the MCU. Now we may lose that earnest stupidity for weak Whedon quips. Yeah, I hope that it would be sad to see him go, well, that just happened. Or like, he's standing right behind me, isn't he? That's
I can't wait to see him with like with one of those holographic touch screens though.
Yeah.
Just like reporting in.
Get Venom and Audi.
Yeah.
Oh man, just the pairings of Venom and really anyone could be fun, but I hope they let Tom Hardy write his own dialogue.
I feel like Venom would be a like pop in, have a joke or two, and then get out. I don't feel like he's ever going to be one of the like people calling in for like the Avengers Zoom calls or whatever. Like he's not going to be on that level of the MCU.
I don't know what those 10 rings are. Don't call again.
Jeffrey Albert did ask, or says, I don't think this is an accurate portrayal of the comic book character. Not really. Does that matter if you like the finished product, or do you owe something to the fans or the fans of the original? I mean, you don't owe something per se, but like, I don't know. I think it just leaves it open for other interpretations because, on a long enough timeline, we get every version of every comic book character. And I do think that someone will make a more true to the original hard R Venom at some point.
Also, I think that comic book fans are, because I think that a lot of people are locked into the way that it was in the 90s, but comic books are constantly like changing and evolving and growing if you're still like reading them. And so it makes sense that the movies are going to maybe do something different or try something different, because that usually happens every time a creative team comes in. They wind up changing up stuff and doing different stuff. So I think a lot of it is a lot of people were reading them in the 90s and then like have not kept up with it.
Sure.
Because like, I'm used to like things always changing in comics. It's just how it works.
There's that trope, there's that idea that adaptations are somehow like easier, like, oh, Hollywood's out of ideas, so they're just going to take this old thing and reinvent it now. And this is one of those reasons that it's actually as hard, if not harder, to take something that already exists, because you're always like kind of breaking it down and then reassembling it to make something new. In this case, like it's taking an older comic book and making it a 2021 action comedy movie, and like that's always going to be different. I don't think you owe the previous version anything because it still exists. I think your job is to take a look at what you're making right now and take the elements of that work best and add new stuff and make it something new. I don't think it really works to try to like slavishly recreate the other form. Anyway, I think that's how you get stuff like that Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. Like we've seen what happens when they try to just take it from the page and like slap it onto a movie screen.
Yeah, I mean, you do pick and choose what to adapt and what not to. I just do think that there's still meat on the bone for you could do the grimdark horror version of Venom, and I think that would be
sure. There are other open interpretations for Venom, I'm sure. And like the first movie, I think Venom 2 works a lot better, but the first movie had more of a like body horror, psychological thriller element. And I definitely think that could work in a different movie. I'm just saying, like, I don't think you have any responsibility to be like, oh, you have to do this exactly the way it was in that old comic book, even if you respect and admire the old comic book.
Well said. Well said. Evan J. Pretzer asks, if this were made in 96, what duo would have been Eddie and Venom? He says Seagal and Jim Carrey. Seagal. Even by 96, Seagal like couldn't really move. He was getting a little slower.
Yeah.
Carrie would have been a good Venom, though. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer.
Sure.
Nick Cage, I'm sorry, would have been a fantastic Eddie Brock in Venom.
Cage and Carrie. Wow, that would have been a
wow.
duo.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's done.
I think we've cracked it, folks. Yeah. I don't know if we can get any
green light. Okay.
Hey, Tommy Lee Jones work with Jim Carrey again. That's what we got to do.
Tommy Lee Jones could have been Carnage, but an even older Carnage.
I just I don't even want to see Tommy Lee Jones in this movie. I want to see footage of someone explaining the character of Carnage to Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah. Who would Carnage have been? Like Charlie Rocket or something like that. I can't even think of like who would be like the young, like Jesse Camp.
Wow.
Oh God.
Wow. Chaotic.
That's a poll.
That's a chaotic choice. MTV want to be a VJ winner, Jesse Camp, folks.
Yeah. Arthur Bingo asks, how bad will Morbius be next year? I think very bad, because I think you were taking the vibe of Venom, like the 90s era of a comic book movie, and taking the fun and funniness out of it. Instead of Tom Hardy being squirrely and making jokes with the symbiote, you have Jared Leto doing a vampire thing that they released that clip, and it's like generic. It's just so generic. It's like you got the team of operators on the boat, and they're like, he's getting free, and then he like slashes them one by one, and then he hisses at the camera, and it's like, I've seen every single shot in this movie before, including everything with Jared Leto snarling at me. This is gonna suck, right?
I'm trying very hard not to make any judgments until it comes out, but this is not going to be one I'm going to see first day in theaters.
I think intentionally, there's very low chance that this movie is going to be intentionally good in the way that it means to be good. Right. However, I feel like there's a pretty decent chance that this is going to be like very successful as campy schlock. Like,
okay, fair.
Jared Leto's taking it very seriously, and that's the magic ingredient. Like, if it's really bad and he's really living it 110%, it could be kind of great. And there is that. The only moment in the trailer is when he like vampires out and scares the guy, and then he's like, "Oh no, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Dr. Michael Morbius." Like, that's very funny. And if they can manage like that balance for the whole time, and I'm not saying they're going to,
okay,
I think there is a chance that this could be a lot of fun. Unintentionally.
Right. There is a chance. You're saying there's a chance.
I'm saying there's a chance, yeah. Like Jared Leto's House of Gucci performance. Like, not a lot of people defending it on its merits, but a lot of people defending it as like a hoot.
Do we think? Okay, we'll end with this. Omar Alora asks, so in this third Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, they have a ton of villains. Let's put down our marker. Is Venom gonna pop up in No Way Home or not? You got to call it right now. You're saying yes.
I think yes. I think that post-credit tag was on this movie to set up whatever happens in No Way Home. That would be my guess.
Danielle, you're saying yes too?
Yeah, I think it would be a post-credit scene. I don't think that he's going to be like involved in the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't think he's like a main character, but is there going to be a moment or a scene or a tease of like more Venom and Spider-Man mixing it up in the future? Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Get Eddie Brock on the J. Jonah Jameson, have him on the J. Jonah Jameson daily.
They're in the same reality, like as of this movie. So it's all the ball's in Sony's
Okay,
court.
well then I'll say yes, and I'll go one further, that there will be a scene where he talks to Tom Holland, like an actual scene between the two of them fighting or teaming up. No, I'm going to say teaming up. They want Venom to be the lethal protector. So he's going to actually help in the end. In fact, it's not going to be Andrew Garfield and what's the other one? Come on.
Tobey Maguire.
And Tobey Maguire. It's going to be Venom and Carnage at the end.
He's punching Lizard in that.
I don't care that Carnage is dead. He's going to throw up Carnage, and Woody Harrelson is going to emerge from the goo.
Yeah, multiverse Carnage. It's another universe's Carnage.
Yeah, exactly.
And one more good one came in right under the wire. Pericles Dragon Balls asks, not counting Howard the Duck, I'm not sure why, what's in your opinion the worst Marvel Comics movie ever made? Not MCU. Just anything based on a Marvel comic.
Ooh. It's got to be New Mutants, right?
Was pretty bad.
Pretty bad. And like, you know, worst from like a craft perspective is probably the Captain America 1990.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's got like a
fun.
sweetness to it that I
Yeah.
think sort of keeps it out of the absolute like Drek bottom range.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my first instinct is that Elektra. I already bashed
Elektra.
the Daredevil movie. That Elektra movie with Jennifer Garner that followed up on it was that one is pretty bad. Like I'm having trouble. The other one that I was thinking of is that Josh Trank Fantastic Four, which actually is not terrible for 40 minutes or so, and then drops off
really
of a
fall.
cliff, and it was like one of the most disappointing third acts ever. So yeah, I think I'll probably go with that one.
Yeah, I mean, and there's like
That Fan Four Stick one with Miles
Fan Four
Teller.
Stick is pretty bad. Yeah. And there was a really bad Captain America, even pre-1990, where he has like the giant ping pong ball helmet.
Right. Yes. It was like
that Dolph Lundgren Punisher is. I think it's good, but I can see why people would not.
Yeah. But Howard the Duck's,
it's got that
Duck's
like
also entertaining.
Sure. I would not put Howard the Duck on the list of the worst because it's so weird that it's like that makes it unique and singular, and so it's worth.
Maybe Blade Trinity, because Blade Trinity is like they've kind of given up and they've kind of betrayed what was good about it, and
Wesley completely gave
does
up.
Not want to be there.
Yeah.
That one's pretty bad.
Any movie with Jessica Biel like putting in her iPod and then slashing vampires to the rhythm of the groove is like you're on thin ice movie.
Yeah. All right, well there you have it. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode of Honest Trailer Commentaries. We will God, that one's too obvious. Next week we will
just my expression is the clue.
Making lawn face palm. Yeah, well, we'll see if it's as popular as they say it is next week. That's what we'll see. Hope you come back next time for another Honest Trailer Commentaries. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.